Hooray! This video will not be silent. KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
This video, I will be talking about the Weathers family tree, which is most famous for having the Piston Cup winners, Lee Weathers, and of course, Strip Weathers, the king. In this video, I will be talking about the Weathers family tree. And the circles with question marks are the members of the family tree where I do not have an image, such as the parents of Lee Weathers. Now, let's go into further detail about the Piston Cup legend, who was born on March 14th, 1924, and unfortunately, he passed away on April 5th, 2020. May Lee Weathers rest in peace. Now onto his Piston Cup career, where Lee Weathers won the Piston Cup 4 times! The first Piston Cup racer to win 4 Piston Cups, before Drive Parkerson would do the same many years later. Lee Weathers won the Piston Cup in 1958, 1959, 1964, and 1967. Although he started his career in 1950, he had to wait all the way until 1956 to win his first race, and won a grand total of 76 races. It says 75 on the screen, but I did my math wrong when I made this chart. And also, when Lee Weathers won the Piston Cup in 1959, during that season, he lapped the track 3 times! And unfortunately, his career came to an end with a career-ending crash in 1968. Now, shown here, well, briefly, Jane and Fred Weathers, the older siblings of Lee Weathers, and the family of Jane Weathers. None of them are really relevant to this family tree, so I'm going to move on to the next part. Now, here is Lee's most famous son, the king, Strip Weathers, and also his part of the family tree, where he has his wife Linda, who is shown in Cars 1, as well as his 2 sons and daughter. Now, let's talk about the king himself. He is the greatest Piston Cup racer of all time, winning 203 races and 7 Piston Cups, which has only been tied by Lightning McQueen. But the king made over 1,200 starts in the Piston Cup. Lightning McQueen has less than 500. The king's career began in 1969, where he raced part-time, the season right after his father's career-ending crash, and became a Piston Cup rookie in 1970, and would race for a total of 36 Piston Cup seasons. And of course, he won 7 Piston Cups in 1971, 1980, 1987, 1988, 1997, 1999, and 2001. Winning Piston Cups in 4 different decades. Also, winning the Florida 500 5 times, which is the most out of any Piston Cup racer. And if you don't think that is the greatest Piston Cup racer of all time, I don't know who you think it is then. Maybe Lightning McQueen, but the king did a lot more. And also, his Piston Cup career is so long that he raced River Scott at the start of his career, I mentioned him in the last video, and Lightning McQueen at the end of his career. And also, we never really saw the king decline, as he was still in the hunt to win his 8th Piston Cup in his final season. By his side, he had Mrs. the King, who unfortunately passed away in 2014. May she rest in peace. Now, on to her older son, Kyle Weathers, who is a 3rd Division Piston Cup racer from 1989 to 2015. And also, here's his part of the family tree, with his first wife, Patty. And none of the cars below here have an image that I can show you. And here is his family with his second wife, Morgan Weathers. Once again, no images I can show. Come on, their oldest son is 5 years old. Why would I have an image? Now, let's talk about Kyle Weathers, who was born on June 2nd, 1970, and only raced in the 2nd and 3rd divisions of the Piston Cup. Why not in the top division? Well, you already know there's over 200 cars up there. I think Kyle Weathers did not want to deal with the extra competition. Although he did race in the 2nd division, where he beat a young Lightning McQueen to a win in 2003, he primarily raced in the 3rd division, where he raced from 1989 to 2015, and made no starts in the Piston Cup, and was his father's backup racer, just like John Swift. But at least Kyle Weathers raced more than him. Also remember, the last video I made where I was talking about John Swift. Now, on to Kyle's younger brother, Adam Weathers, who was born on July 10th, 1980. But unfortunately, he died on May 12th, 2000, dying in a practice crash. May Adam Weathers rest in peace. This is also the reason why his older brother Kyle has the number 45. And also, Adam Weathers himself was a 2nd Division Piston Cup racer, where he raced for the last 2 seasons prior. He wasn't very good in the 2nd Division, but he did race. Racing better than the likes of Nick Charger and Will Draftrev in the top division at that time. Now, onto another part of the Weathers family. Here is Maurice Weathers, the older brother of the King Strip Weathers, who has 3 sons and 1 grandson who are currently racing in Piston Cup racing. And here is Maurice Weathers himself, who was a Piston Cup racer in the late 1960s, but wasn't a very successful Piston Cup racer, so instead became the crew chief to his younger brother during the earlier part of his career. He was a more successful Piston Cup crew chief, being a crew chief from the 1970s all the way until the 2000s, where he became the crew chief for his son, Cal Weathers, who is only a few months older than his cousin, Adam, being born on March 12th, 1980. Cal Weathers is another successful Piston Cup racer, winning 35 races in the Piston Cup, and also winning a Piston Cup of his own in 2008, becoming the 3rd member of his family to win a Piston Cup, just like his grandpa, Lee Weathers, and his uncle, the King Strip Weathers, who was his crew chief when he was in the Piston Cup. And Cal Weathers ended his career in 2016 after many next-gen cars were forcing older stock cars like him to retire. And here is his older brother, Hitchy Weathers, who was not very good, as he only raced in the Piston Cup Eastern Division, which, by the way, is the 5th division on the Piston Cup racing pyramid, below the Piston Cup 2nd Division, 3rd Division, and Karka, which is the 4th division. It's just known as Karka for sponsorship reasons. Now, let's talk about his youngest brother, Hank Weathers, who actually raced in the Piston Cup. And also, Hank Weathers made 60 starts in the Piston Cup. Although he was never the best at qualifying, he did make 60 starts and finished in the top 10 8 times, and also led 70 laps, which may be a lot worse compared to some of his family members, but if you compare it to cars like Nick Charger, that's actually quite good. Now, onto the final racer of this family tree, Chris Weathers, who is the son of Cal Weathers and was born on May 29th, 2001. and has only recently began his Piston Cup career, getting 2 wins in his first Piston Cup season in 2023. And he also won the Piston Cup Juniors Championship in 2019 in his rookie season. Also, here's this other car named Robert Brocker, who is the father of Cal Weathers' wife and was a childhood friend of the King Strip Weathers. Well, I just covered 4 generations of the Weathers family tree. Specifically, 4 generations of successful Piston Cup racers from the Weathers family, who certainly are racing royalty.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
I'm sorry that my throat has been bad for the last few days, which is why I couldn't record any videos. I hope you enjoyed this video and the 5 previous videos where I didn't talk at all. But the next part of the 2012 Piston Cup season should be coming out tomorrow, and will also be much longer than this video. And also, expect the 2012 LA 500 video to also be coming out very soon, in addition to other videos that I will be making over the course of this month due to the Advent calendar. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. It's been nearly 2 years since Vladimir Putin gave the order for Russian troops to cross the border into Ukraine. The Ukrainian people just wanted to live in peace and have freedom. Vladimir Putin is not letting them have either. Because he is a tyrant and bully. Why do you need to expand Russia's land area into Ukraine? Did you forget that Russia is the biggest country in the world? We at the hashtag KABullets YouTube channel stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny, and also recognize the true borders of Ukraine as seen on this map, which includes Crimea, the Donbass, and the other territory that Russia illegally occupies under Vladimir Putin's tyranny. Slava Ukraini! Heroyam slava! Nechai Shvitsya Daretsia! Ukraini Peremoha!